JayDreamerZ welcomes you to the live stream.
Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome to today's live stream where we're going to be talking about the reality of Titans having once walked our plane of existence, and the even more interesting reality that their bodies are petrified and still with us today. So what am I talking about? Some people have followed my channel and some other channels out there that talk about mud fossils and the ancient Titans existing. But some people might be brand new. So if you're new, I just encourage you to hang in there and take what resonates and put the rest on the shelf for later on. So I'm going to be showing you a lot of different pictures. To start, we're going to go ahead and screen share. Hey, check that out. I got my screen sharing to actually work this time, which is pretty cool. So where is this and what is this? I'm going to put up a bunch of pictures right behind me. What is this exactly? Let me get the chat out as well. This when I do these live streams, they're interactive, so I'm checking out the chat. I'm not always reading the chat. Usually I jump in at the end and I read a lot more of the comments, but feel free to jump in the chat. Anyway, where is this? What is this? Now, somebody had brought this to my attention on the Facebook group that I created called JayDreamerZ Ancient Oblivion Archive. Somebody had posted this. I'm not sure who it was, so thank you, whoever posted this picture for us. This is called The Wave. You can look it up. It's a very popular rock formation in Arizona here in the United States of America. By the way, everybody who's watching in the UK or overseas, I want to say thank you for staying up and watching and hanging out with us today. I'm going to be working on more live streams and streamlining the channel so that we can get everybody watching around the same time, hopefully on the same day, so some people don't have to watch it and stay up late and things like that. Anyhow, this is The Wave behind us. Now, we're going to be talking about the ancient Titans. Science would just tell you that this is just a rock formation created by wind and rain over time. You know, it's really windy and, I could just hear their scientific bullcrap right now. I could hear all the scientists trying to tell me and explain away this strange rock formation. As a matter of fact, I can hear them trying to explain away everything, don't they? They try to explain everything. And the more they try to explain it with their scientific, mad scientist kind of technical jargon, the more lost I am. As a matter of fact, I think when people ask a lot of questions, good questions, when people use reasoning and research and their creative minds, and they start trying to figure out, hey, what about this and what about that? It seems to me that the educated class of our world has been taught from birth, basically, to just continue talking until you feel like you've made sense. And then you have to be very confident in that. And then other people would just go, oh, okay, I didn't understand a damn word you just said, but all right. Anyway, thanks for that. So I'm not going to do that to you guys. I'm going to give it to you in simple terms. What you're looking at right now is, or it seems very strongly to me to be, this next picture over here. Is it this one? No, it's not that one. That's video. Same thing, though. Is this muscle body tissue or muscle strands, muscle fibers, right? Let's see if we could zoom in on this guy a little bit. Whoa. Okay, so this is pretty much what that other picture looks like, right? Oh, I forgot about that one. Okay, we'll get back to that one in a minute. But this is synonymous with this, or these things as well. Okay, so this is muscle tissue, okay? This is skeletal muscle, basically your muscles, right? Now that's what they look like. Now, let me just cut right to the chase for those of you who like me to get to the point. The Titans once walked our realm, and these were beings much bigger. I'm not talking about giants. I will talk about giants another time. I correlate the giants with the elven race, or the El, the god race. But now for this video, I'm talking specifically about the titanic race of beings that had their hand in terraforming our world, shaping our world, changing its geographical features, okay? This was a long time ago. This is not taught in schools. This is passed down in historical records all across the world and across time as well. Now, it hasn't made the list, it hasn't made the cut in our academia today. It's not going to be taught to you in schools, elementary school, junior high or high school, or college really. It will be taught in the form of mythology, legends, fairy tales. It will be presented to you as if it's not true, as if it never happened, as if it's not plausible or even possible. Which is why I do these types of videos. And there's some pictures up behind me. Now, like I said, to just cut to the chase, these titans once walked our world. And cataclysm struck. This is the very short version of it. And if you want an even shorter version, just check out my my breadcrumb series. My breadcrumb series, for those of you who don't know, is taking all of my very long videos and condensing the subject to like under 3 minutes or so, you know, just getting right to the point and hitting the nail on the head, so to speak. Anyway, these titans walked our world. Cataclysm struck that ancient world and turned everything that once existed, all life, all technology, all plants and animals, into rock. They literally solidified. So let's go back to my screen share here. I'm so happy I figured out how to do that. So this is this looks very much like muscle tissue, basically. And I'm not the type of person, for those of you who are new to my channel, I'm not the type of person to just jump on board with the first thing I hear. You know, I went through the schooling process of being educated and learning all of the facts and Jeopardy questions and things like that. Okay, so I evolved from there. I grew out of that. I learned to trust in my ability to reason and balance it with my intuition, my gut. Sometimes you can just look at a thing and you can say, oh, I know what that is. You know, sometimes we're wrong. But when you have an overwhelming amount of evidence stacking up and piling up, that evidence gets weighty, it gets heavy, and it starts to develop more value. Okay, it starts to lean towards the area of truth and fact, as opposed to just wild guessing or a creative imagination. Okay, so let's check out some more pictures. Like I said, this is muscle tissue, right? Similar to this one over here. And then we also have, these are some zoomed in close-ups of muscle tissue. Now, I really like this one because if you take a look at it, oh, my big head's in the way. If you take a look at it, it looks like a geographical formation. I mean, if it wasn't all tinted in that particular way or whatnot, it looks like it could totally be a place here on Earth that we could have visited. Now, I was supposed to start my video off with this picture. And I was supposed to ask you all, where in the world do you think this picture was taken? Which desert, which dry land, which area? So, I'm going to allow everyone to give me some guesses. And I know it takes about 30 seconds for you guys to actually hear this. In the chat, just throw out some answers. What is this a picture of? And whoever gets closest wins. We'll play it like that. Let me pull up the chat here. And I will take the first 5 guesses. What is this? Or where is this? Whoever gets the closest wins and gets a round of applause. Okay, so Phoebe says she thinks that this is underwater. This is not underwater. And Kuraku says, I know it's a trick question, JayDreamerZ. Let's see. So we've got underwater, in a cave, a dino footprint, the North Pole, Arizona, brain cells. Ooh, interesting. And a hand, feet, footprint. You're all wrong. You're all totally wrong. Okay. Good try, though. Good guesses. Thanks for playing the game. The closest person said brain. Something about a brain. This is not a brain. This is actually a close-up picture of pork. Okay? This is a close-up of pork. Hey, Jessica Williams, thanks. Yes, I love my little picture when that pops up. Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate you. This is a close-up picture of a pig skin, basically. Pig flesh, okay? Now, why do I bring that up? Because whenever we zoom in on these things, which we really need to do when we're talking about the Titans, we get a better idea of what it is we're looking at. Let's go ahead and I'm going to play this video just for a little bit here. Oh. Is the volume on? No, it's not. Good. It's on in my head. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Okay, so anyhow, so as you can see, wind and rain don't add up. And there's something about the world. That's why I'm doing this video. That's why I do all of these types of video. To many of us, we don't have the answers. We don't know it all. We're not the most intellectual of all people. But sometimes when we take a look at something, especially when we're talking about geographical formations and strange rock formations across the world, we would look at it and there's something eating away at us saying, there's something about that. I can't put my finger on it, but there's something strange about that particular rock formation. We know that there's more to the story than what we are being told, what we're being taught. What we're being taught is, and I'm just going to make this up because I can totally hear your nutty professor telling you this, but, this particular region of Arizona is prone to flash floodings, and so over time all of the flash floodings have smoothed out and created these ribbons of various colors. Now the various colors are due to eons and years and millennia of rock buildup, and what you're seeing here are the stratus of the various ones, and each one represents a different layer of time. Crap. Hey Pat, thank you. I appreciate you, Pat. That means a lot. Actually, I want to point that out. Anytime that people donate in the chat, the money's being saved and is going towards the book that I'm writing, which will be about my ancient Oblivion playlist, basically. Everything on there. And I'm working on some new things right now. Some breadcrumbs and some other things like that. So yeah, that's what science says. Science tells you, here's what to think about this, okay? But what does history say? What does the actual written record across all time, across the plane of existence, everywhere in the realm that we live on, what do all of these records allude to? They allude to titanic beings walking our world, and the gods being in charge, and ruling over mankind, and those gods warring with the Titans who were even bigger than they were. Now, something happened, a cataclysm to be specific, that wiped out all life on what we call Earth. Now, it didn't just wipe it out. Now, many of us have heard the idea of a worldwide cataclysm. Whether you're religious or, you've looked into the floods of Atlantis or things like that. When we imagine these things, we sort of first picture it like just a bunch of water and everything drowns, and then all of that stuff just kind of rots away and disappears. It didn't disappear. Catherine, wow, you guys are very generous today. I appreciate you. Thank you. You're amazing. That last picture that you saw, by the way, was actually done by one of the viewers here, and I used that as the thumbnail in my most recent mud fossil breadcrumb video. What was I saying? Anyhow, yes, the Titans walked our realm. They walked our world. They pre-existed us. They were here before us. And there was an entire storyline that goes along with that. Now, I'm going to skip to the present day. I'm not going to get into the entire story. If you want to know more about the details of the Titans and where they came from and who they are and what were they thinking and their relationship with the gods that walked this realm. Look at that picture, man. Go check out my Ancient Oblivion archive. There are a lot of things in there that give great detail about the things that I'm discussing today. So basically the Titans are real. This is not a fictitious subject. This is real. I'm dead serious when I talk about this. Why? Because I see the evidence for it all around us in the world that we live in. We have chosen, or we have been taught. It has been passed down to us. That totally looks like a head that's doing that right there. we have been taught, we have been conditioned to, it's hard to stay focused because I love these pictures so much. We've been conditioned to bypass our instincts. That feeling that you get inside of you when you see something, like, for example, this guy right here, my own particular mud fossil, okay? Now, it's difficult with mud fossils on camera because there is no depth perception, okay? Not only that, but the camera freaks out when you... Okay, so there's no depth perception. So you can't really tell, like, that this thing goes deep in, that I can place my entire thumb in there like that, okay? And that there are these two holes right here where the arteries once were, where the blood flowed in and out of this particular part of the body, okay? This once was alive. This was a part of something that was alive. This was actually on my desk at work, back whenever I had it on my desk. And I made sure everybody knew this is not a rock. Adrian funded $2. You guys are amazing, man. You guys really encourage me so much with more than just, money and things like that. But you're also very positive, and that's why I keep doing this, and I keep getting excited to talk to all of you. What is going on? Mr. Pink. Thank you, Mr. Pink. Yes. You are appreciated as well. Thank you. Man, you guys are distracting me today. I appreciate it. So anyhow, wow, amazing. Okay. Bible book Club just funded $5. Thank you. So let me talk about some other things. So I want to make it a given. Yes. I want to make it a given that the Titans walked this realm. And welcome, Radical. Titans walked this realm. They stomped the earth that you and I live on. We are like the Smurfs, okay? Which is based off of a true story. It's based off of an esoteric, hidden past. Things like the Smurfs, or if you're old enough to remember the cartoon The Littles, and things of that nature. I moved the mic over here, so I keep hitting it. I'm sorry. So, we know this. We understand this collectively. There are things that subconsciously, memories that we hold on to. We know our world was once vastly different and more of a fantasy realm. So beautiful when we really meditate on it. We can imagine the beauty and the air, or just the smell of things, and the oneness and the being in touch with nature and the giganticness of the ancient world. Now, when we talk about the giganticness of prehistoric times, I don't want everyone to get thrown off by what we're actually instructed, what we're actually commanded to think when we're going to our school system and, we're being taught by Dr. Doolittle and all those minions. They're telling us what to think when they talk about prehistoric times. We're supposed to imagine some volcano-filled world with, little tyrannosauruses that are... Isn't that ridiculous? That's a Tyrannosaurus right there. Like, that's supposed to be the most intimidating one or whatever. It's so stupid. For me, that's a cover-up, okay? The whole concept of dinosaurs and all of these fossils that have only been introduced within like the last 100 years or something like that, okay? Dinosaurs only... Now that's another thing that we are not taught. You have to find this out, okay? We are taught dinosaurs from a young age. We're taught, dinosaurs existed millions of years ago in the Jurassic period. And they give us movies to condition us. I hit that microphone again. They give us movies to condition us so that it solidifies in our mind that that's a fact. Dinosaurs ruled. There was man, and then there was nothing before man. There was like monkey man or Cro-Magnon man. Then there was dinosaurs, I lean towards the whole dinosaur story being a cover-up for the truth, especially because it's only new. It's been newly introduced. This whole fossil thing. You go to a museum and you see these fossils of these giants called dinosaurs. They're giant lizards, which is really interesting because if it is a cover-up, they could have made dinosaurs anything. They didn't have to be lizards. They basically invented the story. So they could have been gigantic, whatever they want. But instead, they made them gigantic reptilian beings, which I find to be very interesting, and a part of the agenda, basically. But yeah, the reality is that there are actual fossils, okay, all around our world. Fossils are not things that, died millions of years ago and it took 10 million years for this to turn into stone or whatnot. Things can become petrified rather quickly, okay? Sometimes instantly, depending on the method that's used. Look at that. Doesn't that look like a giant whale right behind me? That's a huge rock. It's a rock today, just like this is a rock today, okay? This didn't used to be a rock. These things did not used to be rocks, okay? They have turned into stone, just like the trolls in the stories. The trolls were living beings, and they're exposed to sunlight, and they harden, and they turn into stone. That story, that fairy tale, which is a tale or a story or a record, passed down from the Vaeri, or the Vaerions, or the gods, if you will, okay? The Aryans, the Vanir, the Azir, the Elven race is what I call them, but that's a different video. That's a foot. If everyone that's watching knew that before I said that. Like, there are some things that are obvious. You look at it, look at that. Like, you can see that's a being buried up to its chest in debris, Anyway, so what was I saying? I was saying that we know these things. We already know them. They're in the back of our mind. They're on the edge of our subconscious. And I believe that we're entering into a time some people are dubbing the Great Awakening, okay? Many revelations are coming to light. This is just one, and I can't wait for the next ones to come about so that we can discuss those and put them all into the limelight and show people an alternative version to balance out what we've been taught, so people can at least have a choice to look into various options, okay? And I'm not saying you're stupid if you don't believe me, or, you're retarded or anything like that. I understand. I just want to offer out information so that other people can be a little more balanced by gaining more knowledge, okay? Or more information, I'll say, okay? Anyhow, that's beside the point. We know that Titans once existed. We have it written in every one of our cultures, in every one of our stories. We accept in all of our religions that there were giants, and that we fought against the giants, and that there were wars between the gods and the other gods, the giant races. Now, you'll see a lot of the Titans being portrayed as being made of rock in a lot of our movies. And the reason for that is because they literally turned into rock. Okay, after this cataclysm hit, basically in a nutshell, there were no oceans. The oceans were then introduced, okay? Along with all of that water churning up everything, okay? It created a mud flood. It created a flood of debris that knocked everything down and washed over and coated everything and basically suffocated everything as well. So those things that didn't drown suffocated. Not only do I mean they suffocated from being able to breathe the air, but their skin suffocated from... Your skin breathes air, okay? Like, you have pores in your skin. And, plants and vegetables and fruits, they all do too, There's pores inside of things. Microscopically, there are holes inside of everything. Now, in those holes, the minerals that were in that water went into those holes and just flooded the bodies of these ancient beings with the minerals that were in the water, okay? And then the minerals built up, and there are different words for it. You can say they petrified, they calcified, they densified, they silicified, which is a good one because the ancient world was a silica world. Our world today, what we call Earth, is all silica for the most part, okay? It's the second most abundant substance in our world next to, like, the air we breathe, okay? So anyhow, we understand that these things are true. We don't have to know them. We don't have to talk about them, but subconsciously we know that our world was more of a fantasy world than it is the world that we're presented with today. Let me give you some examples. Okay, this is just a few examples. It would help if you could see what I'm looking at. So here are some recent movies that are coming out or have already come out. Okay, I had talked about in some prior videos that I predict we're going to see, as we see these revelations come to light, we will see Hollywood mimic these revelations in turn. Now, some of them have already been put out there because one of two things: either Hollywood in general is laughing at us and rubbing the truth in our face, which I don't really lean towards that. I feel like if they're going to hide it, they would try their best to completely hide it. Or the other option is that breadcrumbs are being left to us. They are giving us the information, but they're not bound to give us the information in any particular form or way. They say, here's the information. Do with it what you would like. You are smart enough to make your own decisions and to figure things out in life. Here's the information. Do with it what you will. If you want to sit there and eat popcorn and just have a good time and not think and to be amused and to just say, wow, that was good, or oh, that movie sucked, or whatever, and then just move on to whatever else you're doing in your loop called life, fine, you can do that. Or if you want to have an experience while you're watching these movies or reading these books, and if you want to allow the stories that are being told to touch you and to say, to basically the stories are reaching out from the past and grabbing you and saying something about this holds true. Something about this is real. It has weight to it, right? And you can ponder on it, and you can put some pieces together if you like to. That's what I do. So this movie is called Pacific Rim. Oh, I'm like in the middle of the picture. This is called Pacific Rim, or Pacific Rim Part 2. Now, it's got these titans, right? I haven't seen the movie, okay? It just looks like a stupid movie. I'm sorry, but it does. But I know I have seen the previews, and I can get a general idea of what it's about, which are these titan beings or robots or whatever they are. They're titans, okay? And you can see them. Let's see. There we go. So you can see the titan being over here and the humans over here, right? Now, this is one example. Somebody came out with this idea because either it was in the ether around us, it was in our collective memory already, and everybody will eventually tap into it, right? We all tap into our collective memories from time to time. We just pull things, and we say that we're pulling it out of thin air. That thin air is called the ether, okay? We're sharing our energy. We're sharing our memories. We're sharing our experiences. We like to think that we're separate from one another, but that's an entirely different video on a playlist that's not as popular, sadly, which is my Universal Law playlist. Check it out if you want to. I think it's the most important playlist I have. Anyhow, let's check out another movie. Oh, check this out. We've got Rampage, right? One of my favorite video games when I was a kid. But basically, there's more titans, okay? Now, yeah, you could say it's a giant monkey, or there's another one that's a giant lizard, and there's a giant something else in here, but they are giant beings. They are titanic beings, the size of skyscrapers. And I think, this one already came out, but King Kong, Skull Island, Godzilla, you could probably think of a lot more as well. And then, most recently, and most interesting, there's this one, which I haven't really talked about. I know a lot of people leave me comments and pictures and stuff, and this is the number one thing on everybody's list. Like, dude, Attack of the Titans, look, like they're talking about it. Yes, absolutely, let's talk about it. The reason I haven't really talked about Attack on Titan is mostly because of how they're portrayed, right? They're just all portrayed as, these evil, ugly, monstrous things to be totally terrified of. Pardon me. And they're also portrayed as something you need to immediately kill. I don't think that's a good mindset for us to have. We're being conditioned to immediately point our guns at the sky when the aliens come and just freaking kill them instantly on sight. What? Why? We're also being trained to immediately just kill the Titans, should they return, or the gods, or whatever they are. Anything different, just shoot it and kill it. It's bad guy. But I find this particular genre of the way that they portray the Titans as being very interesting, and it's because of the flesh. It's because of the meaty portion. I ran out of vocabulary. It is because of their muscle tendons, okay, the muscle fibers that they clearly show here on the Titans themselves. Now, do I think that Titans just walked around with no skin, just muscle fiber and muscle tissue? No, I do not. No, I don't. But whenever this cataclysm struck, those beings all died, okay? May have decomposed partially, and they turned into rock at different intervals, at different periods. Now, there's a lot of interesting speculation, and there's a few different theories that I've heard as to how they actually turned into rock. Absolutely, you can turn into rock. Anything can turn into rock if it is de-oxidized, if the oxygen is taken away from it. I don't know if that's the right word, but basically if it's suffocated to an extreme degree, it can turn into rock. And water is a key component to that happening. We know the world was flooded. We know that everything was covered in not just water, but the debris that was introduced when these waters rushed over a world that was already being terraformed by these titanic beings the size of skyscrapers and mountains. And then some people are speculating on some other ideas where they may have just frozen instantly, maybe due to some sort of prehistoric weaponry or pre-advanced type of technology that was used in these ancient wars. Something that we'll get into on another time, not right now. Let's see, what else do we have here? Attack on Titan. That's me, and I'm going to pause that. So yes, anyhow, you can see these things all over the place. This is a pig. This is the flesh of a pig. You never would have guessed that, because if you were that small, this is how the pig flesh would look to you. Imagine what Titan flesh looks like to us. Titan muscles, Titan feet or hands or other body parts that we're seeing all around the world. Titan brain or Titan, whatever it may be. Now, I asked myself, why do we see body parts all over the place, Why don't we just see full intact Titans, just statues, just, you know what I mean? The size of a skyscraper going like, just totally frozen. Well, it makes sense that if they were indeed solidified and turned into rock, that they would also, parts of them would break off. And that's what I'm seeing in my investigations and my research. I'm seeing all of these various body parts all over the place. Now, when you combine that with the torrents and the rushing of worldwide floodwaters in an ocean that never existed before this particular part of time, okay? And that's another thing that blows my mind. We just take the oceans for granted. Those don't belong there, okay? They don't. That is a foot, okay? It's a foot. That's a footprint, and it was depressed and water filled it up. You know what a footprint looks like. So do I. We don't have to be afraid because we're speculating. We don't have to be afraid because we're using our creative mind and going, oh, that's totally what that looks like, okay? It is a time that we're entering into when we can be courageous in discussing these things. I would highly recommend other people, if you find these types of alternative fringe ideas, used to be known as conspiracies. Ooh, conspiracies, right? It's not. It's research. It's looking into things. It's having an open mind. It's being able to balance out what's called fact and your own personal ability to discern what's going on based on your life experience and your knowledge that you've accumulated so far in life. And that's really what I want. I only want to help other people in this particular time to think on their own, to think critically, to be able to have no fear of suggesting ideas or looking into things or doing their own independent research. I encourage other people to think outside of that box, right? You could look at the box as the television, the radio. You could look at the box as the Saturn cube that keeps us in some sort of crazy computer matrix. You can look at the box in all of those ways. But I can tell you this much. This is not the way life was meant to be lived. This is not natural. And when I say this, I don't mean this back here. This is natural, actually. This is very natural. This is more natural than what we're presented with. Yeah, it's a natural rock formation. No, it's nature that turned into a rock formation. So yes, it's very natural. This is evidence of the world that passed us by. This is evidence of a world that once existed that we only write about in fairy tales and fiction and movies and things of that nature. I'm trying to talk about these types of subjects to bring them to light as evident. Not evidence, but they are self-evident. Wind and rain did not create that over millions of years. It doesn't matter what kind of magic you want to throw at it, which it is magic, by the way. When you're taught that in schools, they cast spells. They speak to you in spell form, and they cast a spell over you to have you convinced of what they are instructing you to believe already, right? So, I drew a blank. Anyhow, so yes, the bodies of the Titans, not just the Titans, but ancient technology, ancient animals, ancient life forms, all of the ancient world was a part of this. That's an elephant. I mean, come on. Yes, it is a mountain, but it is an elephant as well. All of that stuff in the ancient world died, it passed away, and it solidified. Now, giants are real. The Titans are real. This one in particular looks like a big old, I don't like to say it looks like, but it does look like sometimes, right? I would hate for these types of things to turn into like cloud spotting, where people are just looking at clouds and like, that one kind of looks like this, but it changes 10 seconds later. These do not change. These are statues. These are evident of what they once were. If we decide to look at them in another way, in another light. And I'll tell you this much, it makes this boring, horrible, evil, messed up, mundane, destroyed desert of a world a little bit more fun. Okay? It really does. It makes it more fun, it makes it more interesting, and believe it or not, you'll start to find some purpose when you look into it a little closer. And the reason for that is because when you understand your past, your present is filled with purpose. Because now you have drive and a purpose and a reason for what's to come. Because you already know what's happened. Now, I want to read to you guys some examples of giants. Okay, you could use giants and titans synonymously, okay? Because they pretty much are. However, in my videos on this channel, I usually differentiate between the two. When I talk about giants, usually those are in reference to those who are blood related or are the gods themselves. The ancient, look, that's a dude. That's a dude right there. You see that arm? You see that like gait? That's a dude. That's a face. Man, Mike, come on. That's totally a face. Anyway. I totally got off track. I'm sorry. Yes, I will differentiate between the giants and the titans, okay? Typically, those who are giants are blood related to the elven race, or the El. Please, if you don't know about the elves being real, okay, elves are the ancient gods, okay? If you want to know more about that, check out some of my videos, especially the one that's called The Secret of the Elves, okay? I break down phonetically, etymologically, okay, the origin of the word elf, okay? I really want to talk about it right now, but we're talking about titans, so let's get back to this. Giants, titans, same type of deal, okay, in our modern society, okay? Because we will easily, in today's world, refer to giants. We find it a little more difficult to refer to the titans, because that's just a absurd concept, right? Anyhow, this book right here is called Giants. Legends and Lore of Goliath. Now, I'm not going to read the book or anything, but I do want to read this particular section because this has stories from around the world. I'm so sorry. This has stories from around the world. All you have to do is lift up these little flags, and it gives you a little story about a factual account of where people have had encounters with the giants of old. Okay, so I'm going to start with, and shout out to any of you if you're from these places. Island of Tierra del Fuego. Which, interestingly enough, by the way, there's this new like flat Earth map or whatever going around, high definition. You can zoom in on it or whatnot. In the actual Tierra del Fuego area, it says "Land of the Giants" in Italian. Okay, it's really interesting. Now, another interesting thing as well, before I start reading this, is that movie Pacific Rim, why is it called Pacific Rim? I haven't seen the movie, but I can tell you this. What we call the Pacific Rim, that whole edge of the ocean around the Pacific, where all of the brown people that have the slanted eyes, okay, that's true, that's where all they're from, okay, that's the Pacific Rim. That is the... what do you call it? The Ring of Fire, right? There is a reason that movie is called Pacific Rim, and it has something to do with Titans. And Titans destroying a bunch of buildings and stuff like that as well. And it's because the Titans terraformed our world. They dug it out, okay? That's why the oceans are filled with water. Because once the flood was introduced, those areas where the Titans had dug out and terraformed, filled with water. Those areas that they were yet to get to are called our continents. Otherwise, everything would just be ocean. Anyhow, Tierra del Fuego, the account of the giants. Legends of a cannibalistic giant persisted for many years. Now we have the region of Turkey. In Turkey, it says a one-eyed giant named Tepegos required regular offerings of humans from a nearby city. Now, you'll find out that a lot of times when the Titans are described, they are described as being one-eyed or a cyclops, a cycle-ops, a round eye. Now, just real quick, I want to throw this out there. I'm going to be doing a breadcrumb series about what I'm going to call, I don't know, dragon eyes or something. And that is because it seems to me that the ancient gods and the Titans have left their DNA to us today. And that helps to shape what we call races in our world. And it helps to explain why some people have, different physical anomalies that are so vastly different from other races. And I don't buy the explanations that we're told. I don't buy that, it was colder so black people turned white. It was really bright so they squinted and, or they look cute with like that and so for reproductive purposes. I don't buy that. I do buy that these ancient Titans, like this dude who's doing like that, the Titans and the ancient gods had unique, particular physical features that were carried in their DNA. And those were passed on as the story goes. That looks like a dude sitting in a chair, right? Okay, anyway. Okay, so let's go to England. So this is for everybody in the UK. Near Somerset, a group of giants was responsible for burning the villages in the surrounding hills. Alaska, the Tsimshian people, forgive my, butchering, the Tsimshian people believed that a giant was responsible for giving us sunlight. Now, how interesting is that? Because I've been talking about this on my videos for quite some time. I talk about the sun. I try not to take anything in this world for granted, especially the world itself. And what we call the sun, which just means the product or offspring of something, right? This says right here in Alaskan folklore that the sun was created by a giant or a titan. Makes sense to me, especially if it's a nearby and much smaller sun than what we've been told. Let's go to Greece. Hello to everybody in Greece. It was the titan Prometheus who gave us fire. Another reference to a titan creating the sun? Maybe. Maybe not. If you'll recall from the movie Moana, right, it says, what's his name? Maui. Maui is a demigod. He is the bloodline of the gods. That's what demigod. It means you have God in your blood. Okay? I don't like that word too much. It means that you have these ancient beings' DNA in your DNA. Okay? There is a part of them in you. Okay? That's a demigod. And that's just the same as, well, lots of stories. But anyhow, let's move forward. So that was Greece, Israel, or Israel. Anyway, Israel. In the time before the flood of Noah, there were giants known as the Nephilim, a name that literally means giants. Okay, well, this book is totally wrong because Nephilim does not mean giants, okay? It means fallen ones, or those who caused to fall, or those who fell, or those who caused to fell. The fellers, the Rockefellers, right? Anyway, let's move to China. Hello to everybody in China, which is nobody. Actually, I think there's one person that watches in China, sadly, because maybe they're not allowed to, or I'm not sure what's happening there, but there's not a lot of people watching in China for some reason. But in China, it says, Fan Ku was a giant who came from the egg of chaos. Let me read that again. Fan Ku was a giant who came from the egg of chaos. When the egg hatched, the top became the heavens, and the bottom became water. After Fan Ku died, his body became the earth, mountains, rivers, trees, and so forth. This is a titan that they're talking about. His body, when he died, his body literally became the rock formations that we see in these pictures today, and that you see around you everywhere you go. Next, we're moving to Norway. Hello to everybody in Norway. Ymir, or Ymir. Ymir was a giant born from the gathering of fire and ice. His descendants were frost giants. Now, I think this is very interesting because, I actually lean toward the plane of existence, right? Not a spinning, wobbling, tilting, flying, orbiting ball, pear-shaped, whatever. I lean towards a plane of existence. Now, that being so, according to mainstream flat earther type thought, right? There is the ice wall and there's Antarctica, which is this ring that prevents us, essentially, from traveling to the outer realms. Now, that ring is full of ice. Beyond that is a very cold region. Now, it's interesting to me that there are these things called the frost giants, or the frost titans, if you will. They are the titans that live in the areas of extreme cold. How can they endure this extreme cold? Because they're altogether unlike us. We always try to, what do you call it whenever you humanize something? When you put your own attributes onto something else. Perhaps because they were a silica-based life form, the cold didn't really bother them that much, Perhaps it's something they can easily endure. Now we're moving on to the United Kingdom. The Celts believed that the devil married several beautiful women. They had many children. All of them were terrible and wicked giants. Now we're going to Mexico. What's up to everybody in Mexico too? Or aloha. Or no, how do you say it? Hola. Yes. Thank you. The Aztecs believed that the first creatures created by their god were fierce and ugly giants who refused to worship him. That's really interesting too. Now we're actually going to come here to the so-called United States of America. The Oklahoma Pawnee believed that Tirawa made giants as the first living creatures. They grew so arrogant, however, that they had no longer believed in him and did whatever they chose. We're moving on to Canada. In Canada, the legend says, the Montagnous people of Canada believed that early in the Earth's history, a race of giants was destroying the Earth, and God became angry. He commanded a man to build a very large canoe. So they said that the giants were destroying the earth, not causing havoc, not pissing people off, not just eating humans, but literally destroying the earth itself. Now we're moving to Iraq, or in ancient terms, Babylon. The first giant of Babylonian mythology was Marduk, son of Yah, and his wife, Damkina. It was Yah who slew the great creator Apsu and set himself as king of the gods. Yah. Looks like he did it Yah's way, right? Anyways, just a joke. I'm so sorry. I'm not funny today. Okay, now last but not least, we're moving to Peru. Hello to everybody in Peru. Viracocha, the god of ancient Peru, was said... Viracocha, the god of ancient Peru, pardon me, was said to have carved great stone figures of giants that he brought to life. But they soon began to fight amongst themselves and refused to work. Are we seeing a pattern developing here? I am. I'm seeing all of these stories, these legend and fairy tales from all around the world that describe a time when there were titans walking our world, walking our realm, destroying the world or terraforming it. And like I said in many videos, I'm not taking sides. I don't automatically say, oh, the titans were bad because they messed up this world. I don't know. I don't know what the plan was. I don't know what their agenda was. I'm not sure what was happening. I do know that it pissed off the other beings that were living in that world, as is to be expected. Those beings are known to us today as the various gods of various cultures and religions and belief systems. So, that is my story. I do want to tell you guys, I've been speaking with Rach Val from the Dictionary of Truth, and I invited her to come onto my channel. We're thinking Tuesday, afternoon here in the US, maybe later in the night, her time, depends. But yeah, I'm going to have her on, and we're going to talk about all of these different subjects. We're going to talk about titans and giants and all of these structures that you see. That's a Smurf village, in case you didn't see that, okay? Like I said, the Smurfs are based off of a true story. That's a Smurf village. Please do check out my video. That's called Mushroom Kingdom, okay? A lot of people will have asked me, what do the titans eat? Because they imagine titans walking around today. Now today, if there was hundreds and hundreds of titans walking around, they wouldn't have much to eat, would they? Of course they wouldn't. But back then, they had to have been sustained. Now, what do we see the evidence of aside from just giant rock beings? We see giant rock vegetables and plant life, especially mushrooms. By the way, see this right there? That's from the movie Prometheus. They had no reason to put that in the movie. Just like this. That's from Star Wars. They had no reason. They don't explain it whatsoever. It's just in there, right? Why did they slip that in there? Why did they put all of the work into designing that to put that into the movie when it's not even discussed? It's not even talked about. It's not a part of the major plot line. Look, see? Like you can see the people way off in the distance over there. Let me tell you why. Because it's true. The truth always pokes its head out. The truth always manifests. Even if you're trying to suppress it, you can't. You can try to manipulate it, but it will always be there in some form or another. I'm not even going to try, okay, on this one, but clearly. Anyhow, so watch out for the Dictionary of Truth making a special appearance on this channel. Probably Tuesday. I'll give everybody an update. I'll make sure to make a little thing. Oh, check that picture out. Dude, that has like the nose and like the things of like a cat. It wasn't up long enough. I'm sorry. Anyhow, and Moana. I might revisit Moana. That entire movie is so esoteric. There is so much... There are so many hidden messages. The entire movie is a hidden message. It's the truth, basically. That's a frog. Anyhow, so this video is over. I'm going to go ahead and just hang out for a little bit. I'm going to talk to everybody and jump into the chat. I have no idea who's here. I'm so sorry I was not watching the chat this entire time. I want to thank everybody for all of your support. All of your support has done so much, not just to encourage me to continue sharing my path and the things that I experience with you, but there have been people that want me to be on the radio and, be on their channel and write a book, which I'm doing. And I've been able to buy all of this wonderful equipment specifically for this channel in order to continue improving the quality of my videos, which I'm really excited about. I'm continuously striving to do better and better. But I want to make sure that the focus is on the content. The focus should always be on the words, the content, what is being expressed. I don't want my channel to be like a popular song on the radio where people are just like jamming out to the beat and they have no idea what the song's about. I don't want that to happen. I want my channel to be about what is being shared. Not about flashing pictures all over the place and, stuff like that. Even though I did kind of do that. I did that specifically, my breadcrumb series is specifically for that type of audience, okay? Now, I like it. I have fun doing it, okay? And I don't mind. But I know attention spans are short these days. Mine is as well. I'm so sorry to admit it, but I have to be honest with myself. I have a shorter attention span. I'm working on it, though. So I do the breadcrumb series for those of you who are like myself, okay? Anyhow, hello to everybody. Let's see who's in the chat. Let's see. How do I do this? I don't know. There's a lot of people in the chat, so I'm just going to say hello to everybody. Now, if you have any questions or you would like me to read your comment aloud, type in JayDreamerZ, spell it correctly, and it will highlight on my chat board on my side, and that way I can read your question and we can have some dialogue here towards the end. That's a person. That's a being. You can tell that used to be something. You know what I mean? But I'm going to go into greater detail about all of these things and more in the book that I'm writing, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to get wonderful pictures. I mean, I'm getting the best pictures to go along with all of these different subjects. In my book, I'll be talking about what I call ancient Oblivion, which will include subjects like the ancient sky, the planets being so much closer, reworking Immanuel Velikovsky's theory of worlds in collision, the Titans stomping around our world, the war that they went with against the gods, or the elven race, and how the ancient gods are really the elves of old. The immortals, what happened, the origin of the human species, where we came from. It's going to get us into the gods that were left over, the survivors of the great cataclysms, the promises that were made, the plans that came about, and how things like kingships and Illuminati and stuff like that. It's going to have a little bit of Illuminati, not a lot, okay? But mostly the focus is going to be on our hidden history, our esoteric past. These are the things that are not shared with you. This is the reason why the book of Enoch was not included in the canonization of the Bible when it was, this is the Bible, okay? People used to read the book of Enoch all of the time as if it was the book of Revelation itself, okay? But it was not included because it spoke about these types of hidden facts of the way our world once was. And they don't want us to have this information because it empowers us. All right, so first comment, Athena Hensley Cobb Dirty Sundays. Wow, that's a huge name. Says, Judd Akula Stone is 40 minutes from me in North Carolina. Do me a favor, take a picture of it and post it to the Ancient Oblivion Archive on Facebook. Thank you. Dennis says, JayDreamerZ, what were the Titans digging in the ground for? Excellent question. I don't know the answer, but I lean towards resources. I mean, that makes sense to me. They needed resources of some type. I mean, that's what we do, right? We dig into the earth. We take away from the earth to build things and to make things for ourselves. And maybe those two subjects are related. The Titans did it, and curiously enough, we did it as if it's second nature. Maybe we're related. Wanda says, hi. Hello, Wanda. Pat says, JayDreamerZ, can you explain how there is color in space with no atmosphere to refract the different colors? Pat, no, I can't. Great question. We're going to have to talk about space in another video, though. Troubled Life says, JayDreamerZ, thank you for all your hard work. Can you tell us the name of the book you were reading from once again? Yes, I can. It's this book right here, and it's called Giants. Legends and Lore of Goliaths. It's an awesome book. It's like $20, I think. Yeah, it's like $19. And I mean, that's a lot of money, but it's an awesome book. It's got pop outs and all this kind of cool stuff. And let's see. Let's scroll on down. George Living says, JayDreamerZ, please explain why you believe in the silica-based beings over carbon. We are carbon. I agree. Pardon me. There are a lot of reasons for that. I highly recommend checking out my playlists of past videos because I've gone into great detail explaining these things before. But in a nutshell, our world is is a silica world, okay? And there are a lot of things when referenced that seem to indicate that our world was once silica-based as opposed to carbon-based, okay? I'm not saying it's absolute, that's my word and I'm sticking to it, but that's what it indicates so far to me. Let's see. Pat says, JayDreamerZ, check out the Waffle Rock. Honestly, I'm probably not going to remember that. I'm so sorry because I have a lot of people talking to me and giving me subjects and stuff like that to look into. I'm just flooded with emails and messages and stuff. Please post it to the Ancient Oblivion Archive on Facebook because I do check that every day, all of the time. Thomas Without Doubt says, JayDreamerZ, I would love to hear your thoughts on what would have provoked the angels to leave their first estate. Jealousy of man's inheritance? Okay, so Thomas is talking a little bit more from a religious perspective, but when you talk about the angels, I hear the elven beings, okay? The gods who reported to their gods or their god or what have you, okay? And the reason that they left their estate being their home or their houses, simply put, is we live on a huge realm, a huge plane of existence, right? And when those titans made their way into our particular realm, for some reason they started tearing everything down. Do I think that they were just using brute force, like, oh, I hate this world, I'm just going to destroy it? No, I don't. I believe they had a purpose for what they were doing. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. Blessings and miracles to you all. Blessings and miracles to you all from Pachyderm Princess, the Lockpick Lady. Thank you. Wanda says, I believe. Catherine McGuire says, Jay, are there any petrified creatures in Missouri? How would I know that? I have no idea. Great question. Please go find out and let me know. Let all of us know. I have no idea. I've never been to Missouri. I don't live in Missouri, so I don't know if maybe you thought I lived in Missouri or not. But yeah, I have no idea. I can tell you this much. They're everywhere. Everywhere I have looked, I have seen evidence for mud fossils for the remnants of the ancient world. Everywhere I've looked so far. M. Francis says, JayDreamerZ, have you heard the theory from Sophia Smallstorm about how humans adapted to the fall or flood by becoming microscopic? Do you think we could be relatively microscopic? Yes and no. In a nutshell, I lean towards humans were created by what we call the gods, who got the materials from what we call the titans, in a nutshell, and threw in a little of their own DNA from time to time, which gives us different races. Tony says, play the God of War series on PS3. Plenty more yummy breadcrumbs too. Oh, hey, thanks for reminding me, Tony. So if you guys come across video games, movie references, things of that nature, please send me some examples. You can send them. I would rather you post them to the Ancient Oblivion Archive. If you don't have access to Facebook, then please go ahead and just email me, JayDreamerZ@protonmail.com. Because I do check those out. And if you do send an email, please try to keep it short because I get a lot of emails and it takes a lot of time to read and respond to so many emails. I appreciate it. Bro Knowledge says, great job, bro. Thank you. And let's see. Jessica Williams says, I love your mind. Thomas Without Doubt says, any thought on where the elves came from? That's a great one. That's something that I've actually been pondering a lot lately. So I don't really want to speculate now because I'm honestly not sure. But I have some ideas and they're very closely related to the ideas that are given in the book The Silmarillion. If you don't know what the Silmarillion is, it's a book that was written by J.R.R. Tolkien that is basically the prequel to all of the Lord and the Rings and the Hobbit series, where he talks about what he refers to as the creation itself, the creation of our particular realm of existence, and the first beings to inhabit those realms, and where the elves came from, where mankind came from, and why those two particular races play very important roles, especially mankind. Focus is given on mankind. And I have my own ideas about that as well. You'll have to check out some other videos. So I want to say thank you, everybody, for joining me today. Please keep your eyes out for the Dictionary of Truth. Hello, Rachel. I always call her or like try to reach out to her on Facebook or whatever, but it's like the middle of the night, so I feel horrible. So we're going to try to do it early my time, which will be kind of late her time. We'll work out a good time. I'm not sure if there was anything else. Oh, I've been playing The Legend of Zelda. This is the only video game I actually play, okay? I started playing that one game. It's called Breath of the Wild, and you can save little clips on there. I'm actually going to make a compilation because in The Legend of Zelda itself, I mean, obviously it's about an elf named Link, but in that game, there's all kinds of just clues. There's giant trees, there's titanic skulls, there's Leviathan remnants, there's other things that I can't remember. Anyhow, you guys have a great rest of your day or night, or whatever. And thank you for all of your support and your encouragement. I will start giving everybody like an update on my book once once I feel comfortable with how many chapters it's going to have, because I'm going to have to be careful. I don't want it to be too big or have too much stuff, but I want it to have just enough, the right amount of stuff. And I'll be giving you guys updates on how it's going and how I'm coming along and when it's going to be coming out. Some of you will be getting a free copy of my book when it actually publishes, when it comes out. I will sign it. I will write a note in there because you have shown your support for so many months on Patreon, and I really appreciate it. So, that being said, I'm going to go. I'm going to leave you all. Thank you so much for checking out my mud fossil. Thanks for showing me all of your mud fossils as well. Continue to think outside of the box. Think for yourselves. Look at the world differently. Look at the world like a child. Look at the world like your imagination is still given to you and hasn't been stripped away. As far as being innocents of the world, we've been just brutally raped of our innocence in the world that we live in today. And so that brutal raping, and pardon my graphic language, but that brutal raping of our innocence and our creativity at such a young age has manifested in fear. It is a way to control us. And I say we become fearless. We talk about these things. We bring it to light. We accept it for what it is, as opposed to being afraid and embarrassed and whatnot. I won't be. I challenge this world by simply empowering myself, by trusting myself and having faith in my path and my walk, knowing that this is my path and nobody else's. So, all the best to you guys. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
JayDreamerZ. Think outside the box.